Hey guys, how are you doing? It's Cam back at you again. Today I'm bringing you a tutorial that has been requested from me for well over 2 years, and this is how to achieve sweep picking quickly. Now, I can only speak from my experience and how I practiced it. There's loads of different ways people learn and loads of different ways people like to practice. I'm just going to show you how I achieved it because I worked out a little hack that worked very, very quickly and effectively for me, which I would like to disclose in this video with the licks I'm about to teach you. Just before I get into that though, I'm going to explain a couple of little sort of gear mysteries or gear questions that I'd probably end up getting if I hadn't mentioned it already. So, and in this video, I'm using my Charvel DK24 FR Dark Amber. For any regular viewers, my favorite guitar on the planet. In terms of strings, I use gauge 9 to 42 from Elixir. In terms of my setup, my action and all of that stuff, it's not low by most people's standards. It's not like literally kissing the fretboard. It's actually a lot higher so that I can bend generally. But for those of you who feel that you need a lower action to be able to achieve sweep picking, it's not the case here. It's actually a lot higher than what a lot of people would probably assume it to be. In terms of my pick gauge and all of that stuff, I'm perfectly happy with something between 0.8mm and 1.5. That doesn't affect my ability to do the technique. Could probably give you something even lower than 0.8 and I'd still be just fine. And in terms of the actual brand that I use, a company called Hawk Picks, which make really, really awesome sort of slightly Red Bear style picks that have a really hard sort of like proteiny material. And I'm also very recently trying out the precision picks from Dan's Guitar Store. They're all derivatives of the jazz pick, but provided it's got a really good point on it, I'm pretty happy. The first licks I'm going to show you are the ones that I first started to learn, which are from SKYPE. Let's have a look. This is the first sweep picking lick I ever learned. And some of you out there are probably thinking you're joking, aren't you? And what made me figure it out and what induced this little hack I mentioned in my little introduction here is the fact that it's resembled with the fretting hand a chord that I was incredibly familiar with and also somehow enabled me to be quite careless with the sweep picking technique given the nature of the lick. It is a downstroke on the high E, in this case 19 on the high E. Then what you're sweeping back through is you're going up on 16, B 17, G 18, D 16, and that's the same shape as you come down the fretboard here. So all it changes is where your little finger starts off effectively. And the idea is if you can do this, which I'm pretty sure 100% of my viewers can, just rake through, you can sweep pick. The real magic is, can your fretting hand keep up with your picking hand? And this particular lick was the perfect exercise for this because it resembled a chord, which meant my fingers could pretty much hover over the necessary notes to make the lick work. So just to show you that again. Down and then 4 ups. If you feel like you need to practice that to a metronome, that's absolutely fine, although I didn't. I just sat there and repeated it forever until it was right for me. Then when it came to moving it down, I went to back to the G string in this case with a downstroke, slid down to 13 and then started the lick again. Slid down to G8 and then did the same shape again. Then down, basically a variation of E major pentatonic. Either. I'm throwing an E flat there to make it a little bit more Lydian sounding. And end it however you see fit. And that's the real hack with anything sweep picking wise, is making sure that your fretting hand can keep up with your picking hand. Another lick that came very shortly after, but if you can play a 9th chord, you can do this. I'm starting on 9 on the low E, 11 on the A, 13 on the D, and then the other shape is 11 on G, 12 on B, and then 14 on the high E. If you can separate all of them with downstrokes and an upstroke on the end, pull off to 11, and then what you're doing is you're coming back down the shape I taught you in the first lick. It's another absolutely magical lick, and this one you can be a little bit more subtle with. And the idea is to pick really, really gently here and try and sort of keep your wrist locked down so you're just rotating. I mean, everyone has their own comforts, but that's my recommendation. You can be a little bit more consistent if you've got a point to rotate from. Another lick that comes from, again, it is Steve Vai, is from the Whitesnake song, The Deeper the Love. And this particular one, I'm going to go up to, if we want to follow the song exactly, is this one. That kind of idea. And this one feels very pentatonic under the fingers. It's all downstrokes again. I'm going down, hammer on, down. Blew it, just played the whole thing. The idea is 14, hammer on to 17 on the low E, 16 on the A, 14 on the D, then with a quite a big stretch here, in my case with my ring finger, I'm going from 14 to, where is this, 18 on the D string, 16 on the G, feels very pentatonic here, it goes 14 and 17 on the B, then we round it off on 16 on the high E. And that feels really, really good, even if you're playing some pentatonic-y stuff, supposing I'm in F sharp, which this is. So it's one that can be a little bit more subtle. So those are the Steve Vai licks. Here are some Yngwie ideas I started to pick up after the Vai ideas, which were a little bit quicker and a little bit more hectic. I couldn't do a sweep picking tutorial without mentioning Yngwie somewhere. And what I took from him were the diminished arpeggios, this kind of thing. And these were essential for me in developing the technique because of the nature of diminished scale. It's symmetrical, which meant the shape is the same all the way across the fretboard, but also it enabled me to really nail my syncopation and find a sweep picking style that was super comfortable to me. And just to give you an idea of what I'm doing across the entire fretboard here, as soon as you learn this pattern, you can do the whole thing. I'm starting off on 5 of the high E. I'm doing an upstroke, pulling off to 2, up on B4, down on G5, and the reason why I do a downstroke on G5, it means I can start my ascending run really cleanly. It's then 2 upstrokes after that, so I can carry on. Down, 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 up. And if you want a slightly more crisper attack so you sound even faster, is add a little bit of palm muting in there. It gives your lick a little bit more spice, if you like. And when it comes to the way I move up to the next shape, it's the idea of going... The first upstroke you would do is in the following shape. If you want to, maybe if you find that difficult, the best thing to do is maybe focus on placing emphasis on the first note in the next shape, like I just did there. Because if you can get to the next shape cleanly, you've won, basically. All you have to do is then transfer that across the fretboard. Although that isn't a super melodic lick, it was really helpful in terms of my syncopation. Another lick that involves exactly the same technique and style is from Jason Becker, and this is a slightly more melodic solution. You might have, if you guys have heard the song Drop in the Bucket from David Lee Roth's Little Ain't Enough album, at the start of the solo, Jason does a song like this, or a lick like this rather. And this idea involves, it's exactly the same technique in terms of my picking, except I'm just doing different shapes. You start off in F sharp minor, so 9 and 5 on the high E, 7 on B, and 6 on G. Go back up, then you move up to the next shape, which is E major. In fact, no, A major, excuse me. So that's 12 on the high E, pull off to 9, 10 on the B, 9 on G. The next shape when you go back up is C sharp minor. So you've got 16 and 12 on the high E, 14 on B, and 13 on G. And then the next shape is, I've slightly, oddly enough, dumbed this shape down compared to the song. I've picked an E major sweep. to make a little extra challenge for you guys. It's exactly the same skills as before, you're just playing it to 5 strings. You've got 19 on the high E, pull off to 16, 17 on B, 16 on G, oops, excuse me. You've then got 18 on D, 19 and 16 on A. In the actual song, Jason sweeps and slides down into another shape. I'll do that really slowly for the eagle-eyed among you. There you have it. While I'm up here, I'm going to show you a little cool trick which can help you nail the arpeggios famously heard in Sarana. Although this isn't a particular arpeggio from Sarana, if we go back to that C sharp minor shape I just showed you, the 3-string one, and maybe played 3 rounds of it up and down, then once you got to the end of that 3rd round, what you would then do is come down the 5-string shape. Let me do that really slow. Those end notes there are 14 on D, 16 and 11 on the A. Big stretch at the end there. And what you do is you gradually speed that lick up and you get this. It's got a lot of spice to it. If you want to get even more freaky, you can alternate between what the little finger's doing. You can maybe raise it up a fret. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff, but that's just another little hack while we are there. Now for some slightly more subtle sweep picking licks to throw into more melodic playing. One of my favorite shapes is this one right here. Let me show you. Now this one, as I say, I don't tend to boast about as a sweep picking lick because it doesn't sound like one, but it does sport the technique, which is why I wanted to put it in this video. What I'm doing is I'm playing what looks very much like the first position of the minor pentatonic. It's in the key of A, and it involves almost all of the notes from the minor pentatonic, so it's dead easy to remember where it is. I'm starting off 5th fret in this case, and then hammering on to 8, downstroke, hammer on, little finger. Then I'm rolling across my ring finger, or rolling it across the A and D, 7. Then to get that minor 9 action, I'm going to 4th fret on the G string, then sliding up to 5. Also a downstroke. Then I'm rolling my index finger across 5 on the B and high E. It's a downstroke on the B and then an upstroke on the high E, and that allows me to place emphasis on the notes that are going to come after. It's like a perfect transition lick from A minor to G major. So if you want to go... It's really, really cool, tasteful little idea. Or if you wanted to go from... to D minor. It's a really cool little idea, so definitely make some use of that one. Another lick that involves a slightly different version of what we've been covering so far, which is a lot more, there's a lot of sweeping going on, of course, naturally, but it's also got a little bit more hammer-on action going on here. And this is stolen from Satchel from Steel Panther. You might like this. And this is also in the key of A, oddly enough, although it doesn't sound like it at first. Here what I'm doing is stacking a bunch of different shapes on top of one another. You're basically forming the A natural minor scale just in a really weird order. I'm starting on A6. Sorry, 8, excuse me, that would be a massive stretch. 8 and 12. Then, so that's a pick and then a hammer on. Downstroke on 10 of the D. Downstroke on 9 of the G, and then it's an upstroke on 12 of the G. And it might be worth isolating one shape on its own before moving on to the rest. And again, there's a little bit of palm muting on here to give it that extra little bit of a kick, if you like. The next shape goes like this. 9 on the D, hammer onto 12, 10 on the G. Then you've got 8 and 12 on the B. So it stretches out, and it's exactly the same sweeping pattern. Down, hammer on, down. Down, hammer on, down, down, up. Then the last lick is the exact same shape, just going up a string, starting on G9. Then all you do is slide down to, I don't know, and do some pentatonic licks of your choice. These are some of my favorites and are definitely the ones that helped shape my technique. Thank you very much for watching this tutorial, guys. I hope you've liked what you've seen. If you feel you learned something and you enjoyed the content, please hit that thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. And if you absolutely love me, press the subscribe button as well. I'd really appreciate it. In the meantime, I'm going to be working on Skype lessons. I do teach one-to-one, so if you would like a lesson with me, my contact information is in the description box below. I hope you guys stay safe out there and have, at the time of recording, a very happy Christmas. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.